Hello people, my name is Lee Davey and I am the founder of 1000 Days Sober, a place where we help people to change their relationships with alcohol. And today I'm going to talk to you about the 4 effects that alcohol had on my business and my productivity. Okay? And if you have any questions or any observations or anything you want to share on what I'm going to talk about today, drop it below and I'll answer each and every single one of them. All right? So, number 1, the first effect that alcohol had on my life was this incredible phenomenon called white space. Okay, white space. What does that mean? It meant that when I stopped drinking, and here's the key to this, right? It's not until you stop drinking that you realize what it's like to live life without it, right? That's like really crucial. Okay, so you need to give it a go, and you're like, oh wow, this is really what life can be like. And this really showed up for me in white space. So what is white space? White space is the available capacity to think, mental capacity, right? And also physical capacity, like physical capacity to actually do something. So when you stop drinking, for example, like I did, I stopped going to the pub, I stopped going to the bars, I stopped spending all this time getting myself ready to do all these things. I stopped lying in bed every single Sunday or every single morning, like dying with a hangover, right? That is white space. I created more white space. I stopped drinking and all of a sudden I had more time because I wasn't hungover and I wasn't going out partying in that way all the time. So then I could do something with that time. I could be more productive. I could grow my business. I could become a better father, right? So that's one aspect of white space. The other aspect of white space is this mental capacity, because when you're drinking alcohol, you get yourself all fogged up. There's a mental fog. You just can't even think straight. You just don't know what's going on. It's like you're just locked in this kind of the matrix, right? In this unilevel, in this dark, low place where it's like you cannot make the woods out for the trees. And when you stop drinking, an amazing thing happens very, very quickly. And that is that you start to get this mental capacity. This fog lifts and you start to think things and you start to ask yourself a lot of questions. You start to say to yourself, why am I married to this person? Why am I friends with this person? Why am I in this job? Why am I behaving like this with my kids, right? So that is the mental space that is freed up. Effect number 2 when you start drinking alcohol, toxicity. Again, there's 2 parts to this. The first part, toxic friends, okay? When you are drinking alcohol, it is very, very likely, particularly if you feel you have a problem with it, that you are hanging around with a bunch of people who are not your people, right? Alcohol does a very good job of hiding our true self and creating this false self, this veneer, this ego-driven, I want everybody to like me persona. And as a result of that, we attract people who are very similar to that. So if we're drinking, we're gonna attract drinkers. If we're in the unilevel, the matrix, if we're not really thinking, if we're not got any internal growth or conflict, that's the type of people we're gonna be hanging around with, right? And that's okay to a point, right? But when you stop drinking, you're really taking a decision to change your life and to grow and to evolve. When you do that, part of that is, and a really big part, is who am I gonna hang around with? Because when I stopped drinking, a lot of my friends went by the wayside, and then as I grew and developed that white space and started to fill that physical time, that mental time with meaning and purpose and not just hanging around doing things I didn't want to do, I started to attract people of the same energy. Networking is super important. Understanding what you value in a friendship and putting that out there and then getting that back and actually building those connections is super, super important, especially when it comes to productivity, especially when it comes to building your business, especially when it comes to growing as an individual. And then the other part of toxicity is environments, okay? And this is a little bit linked to, the white space phenomenon, right? Like all of a sudden you're not going to pubs, you're not going to clubs, so you kind of like have more time on your hands. Well, a lot of these places are toxic, right? A lot of these places are toxic for you. And if you can stop going to toxic places, so if you remove the toxic people from your life and the toxic places from your life, then your productivity will soar because you start to hang out in non-toxic places which fill you with the right kind of energy and the joie de vivre to really get you going in life, right? Super, super important. And number 3, feelings. Oh, feelings. When I was drinking alcohol, okay, I was locked into the culture and the societal conditioning that I wasn't allowed to feel. Okay, I wasn't allowed to feel. We're not taught to feel. We're taught to think. We're not taught to feel. We're taught to outthink our way out of problems, not feel our way out of problems. Our parents don't want us feeling. They don't want us like being super joyful. They don't want us like being sad and crying. They don't want us shouting and being angry. So we're taught to repress and suppress our feelings, right? That is devastating. That is absolutely devastating, because what happens, like me, you get to 35 years of age, and because you do not know how to feel, because you do not know how to sensate, because you do not know how to healthily channel your emotions, you end up in absolute nightmare of relationship difficulties. You end up hating yourself and full of self-loathing. The inner critic goes on overdrive. Your inner child comes out in your relationships with your wife and with your children and with your husband and with your mum and with your dad, with your kids, and all of a sudden you're getting into conflict after conflict after conflict. You just cannot get on with people. You keep questioning yourself, what the fuck is going on? And you spend so much time in fights and in the post-fight where we're not talking to anybody, right? And here's the important thing that happens when we're not feeling and we can't communicate effectively. We are really kind of like wrapped up in this energy bubble, which is not very productive for us. It's not very healthy. Think about everything that's happening internally, physiologically, when you're in a constant state of fight or flight. It ain't good. It's driving you to an early grave. So all of a sudden, when you stop drinking, your body physiologically, biologically becomes more productive. It becomes healthier for you. When you can learn how to communicate through language, but also through feeling and sensation and holding presence and not being triggered like all the time, then all of a sudden you're going to have much more time on your hands, because you're not going to be fighting. You're not going to be recovering from fighting. You're not going to be expending that energy on all of that nonsense, right? Absolutely super key, super pivotal that you can work on your feelings. And it's not until you stop drinking alcohol that the light bulbs come on and you're like, whoa, I have to feel again. Because very many of us are using alcohol as a compensatory strategy to block our feelings. That is not how God, Allah, Buddha, universe, evolution created us. They didn't give us emotions so we could suppress them. They gave us emotions so we could revel in them. Okay? Revel in them. All right? Each emotion is a gift, and we need to find it. We need to get friendly with it, and we can only do that when we stop drinking alcohol. So there you are, 3 effects alcohol had on me, on my productivity and my business, and I'm absolutely flying, baby, absolutely flying. Take care of yourself.